Ladies, let me tell you something right now. Every man might act hard, cool, and collected, but deep down, he's wired to be vulnerable to the right kind of woman. Not just any woman, the one who knows how to touch not just his body, but his mind. A man can handle stress. He can fight the world. He can carry burdens that would break most. But there's one thing that will make even the toughest man melt mentally, and that's when you know how to speak to the king in him, even when he's acting like a servant. When a woman takes the time to speak to a man's dreams and not just his current situation, she's doing something that most people overlook. See, it's easy to see where a man is right now. Maybe he's working a regular job, maybe he's still figuring life out, or maybe he's already successful. But what really makes a man mentally melt is when a woman looks past what he is and speaks to what he could be. That kind of vision is rare, and it changes everything. Every man carries an idea of who he wants to become. Even if he doesn't talk about it, that desire's in him. Maybe he wants to run his own business. Maybe he wants to be a leader in his community. Maybe he wants to be a better father, a better partner, or just make something of himself. But the truth is, he doesn't always believe it's possible. The world can be tough. Society pressures him. People doubt him. Sometimes he doubts himself. That's where a woman's voice becomes powerful. When she speaks to the man he's becoming, not just the man standing in front of her, she activates something inside of him that even he forgot he had. Imagine this. A man comes home from a long day. He's tired, frustrated, maybe even disappointed with how his life looks. But then his woman looks at him and says, "You know what? I see greatness in you. I know this isn't where you want to be, but I also know this isn't where you'll stay. You've got something special, and I believe in what you're building." That right there, that changes him. Not because she gave him something, not because she did anything material, but because she saw him when he felt invisible. She reminded him of the fire that life had almost put out. And when a man feels seen like that, his whole spirit softens. It's not just about being supportive, it's about seeing beyond the surface. Because a lot of women can support a man who's already made it. But the woman who sees the king in a man who's still in the making, that woman becomes unforgettable. That's the kind of woman a man will go to war for. Because she believed in him when there was nothing yet to show. That belief becomes his fuel. That faith becomes his focus. And you better believe that when he finally gets where he's going, the only person he'll want standing next to him is the one who stood by him before the spotlight came on. Sometimes a man just needs someone to say, "I see you trying." Not even you've got it all figured out, but just, "I see your effort and I know you're going somewhere." When a woman says that, she doesn't just encourage him. She lifts the weight off his mind. You see, men often carry silent pressure. They carry the burden of providing, of succeeding, of proving themselves. And when they feel like they're failing, it eats at them. But a woman's voice has the power to silence that doubt. A single sentence from her can echo louder than all the noise in his head. You want to mentally melt a man? Don't just compliment what he wears or how he looks or how he makes you feel. Compliment his drive. Speak life into his plans. Ask him about his goals and dreams like they matter. And then when he starts to open up about them, don't dismiss them. Don't shrink them. Don't challenge them with sarcasm. Build on them. Say things like, "I could really see you doing that." Or, "That's something I can see you thriving in." Those words go deep because most of the world tells him what he can't do. But when you become the voice that tells him what he can, you become a safe place, and a man will always melt where he feels safe and inspired. Let's go even deeper. A woman who encourages a man's purpose also challenges him to grow, but she does it with love. She doesn't nag him or shame him. She doesn't try to manipulate his path. She uplifts him and says, I know it's hard, but I also know you're built for this. That right there, that makes a man feel invincible. He might not say it out loud, but it changes how he sees himself. And when he starts to believe in himself again because of you, he won't just admire you, he'll honor you. He'll start thinking long term. He'll want you by his side, not just for comfort, but for purpose. It's about emotional connection, but it's also about intellectual and spiritual connection. A man wants someone who can match his mind, someone who can dream with him, not just talk about what's happening today, but imagine what's possible for tomorrow. The woman who listens when he talks about his plans, the one who brings her own ideas to the table, the one who says, what if we did this together? That's the one he'll lock in with, because she didn't just come to be a partner in love. She came to be a partner in vision, and that's rare. You've got to understand that men don't melt mentally over shallow things. They might be intrigued by looks. They might be interested in charm. But if you want to be unforgettable, speak to his soul. Speak to his hopes. Speak to that quiet part of him that still wants to believe big things are possible. When you do that, he doesn't just want you, he needs you. Because you didn't come for the man he is. You came for the man he's becoming. And that is a connection that lasts beyond attraction. That's how you become the woman who lives in his mind and his heart, the one he never lets go. Most men grow up hearing that they're supposed to be tough, strong, and silent. They're told to hold everything in, to keep moving forward no matter what, and to never show weakness. So over time, a man learns how to carry pain without showing it. He learns how to bottle up stress, frustration, disappointment, and even heartbreak, because that's what the world taught him to do. But inside, he's still human. He still feels deeply. He still battles fears and insecurities. He still wants to be understood. And that's why when a woman comes along and makes him feel emotionally safe, truly safe, it can completely undo him. Not in a bad way, but in the best way possible. It melts his mental walls because finally he doesn't have to pretend anymore. Most people think men don't want to talk, that they don't want to open up, but that's not true. The truth is, most men have never felt safe enough to open up. They've never been around someone who gave them space to be honest without being judged. So when a woman shows up and creates an environment where a man can be real without worrying he's going to be criticized, laughed at, or looked at differently, that is a rare kind of peace for him. It's like giving water to someone who's been thirsty for years. He won't forget it. When a man starts to open up, it's not always perfect. Sometimes he doesn't have the right words. Sometimes he shares pieces of his past that he's ashamed of. Sometimes he reveals emotions that even he's uncomfortable with. But if a woman can sit with him in that space, if she can just be there, not trying to fix him, not trying to change him, not trying to lecture him, but just being present, being kind, being patient, that kind of energy speaks louder than anything and tells him you're safe here. You're enough even in your mess. And hearing that, even if it's not spoken directly, melts something in a man's mind because he's probably never felt it before. There's a power in silence too. A woman doesn't always have to respond with advice. Sometimes the way she listens, really listens, without interrupting, without rolling her eyes, without making the moment about herself, that creates emotional safety. It's in the way she nods when he talks, the way her body language tells him, I hear you, I'm not running and I'm not judging. That quiet reassurance calms the storm inside him. Because when he's with her, he doesn't feel like he has to put on a show. He doesn't have to be strong all the time. He can just be. Another thing that makes a man melt mentally is when a woman doesn't use his vulnerability against him. He tells you something personal about his past, his struggles, his fears. And later on, in a moment of anger, you throw it in his face. That builds a wall he'll never take down again. But if you protect that vulnerability, if you treat it like something sacred, you become someone he trusts with his entire being. That trust is rare, and when it's earned, he will open up more and more because now he knows he's not going to be punished for being human. Men have been conditioned to believe that if they show emotion, they'll be seen as weak. But the right woman can show a man that vulnerability is actually strength, that expressing emotion is not a flaw, it's courage. When you validate his feelings instead of dismissing them, when you tell him it's okay to feel, when you don't rush him to man up or get over it, that's when healing happens. And that healing melts him because now he doesn't just love you, he trusts you with parts of himself no one else has ever seen. This isn't about babying a man, it's about being emotionally intelligent enough to know when a man needs softness instead of structure. There are times when he doesn't need a solution, he just needs a hug. He needs a safe hand on his shoulder. He needs to hear, you're not alone in this. And when that comes from the woman he loves, it grounds him in a way nothing else can. That grounding turns into loyalty. That safety turns into deep emotional bonding. And that's the kind of connection that doesn't break easily. Sometimes emotional safety looks like not reacting with drama when he's honest. If he tells you, I'm scared about losing my job, or I feel like I'm failing, and your first response is to get defensive or dramatic, he's going to shut down. But if you stay calm, if you say something like, thank you for trusting me with that, and you mean it, you become the one place in the world where he doesn't have to carry the weight alone. And he will protect that space with his whole heart. It's also in the small moments, the way you check on him when he's quiet, the way you notice when something's off, the way you let him have his space but still make it known that you're there. Those little things tell a man he doesn't have to struggle in silence, that he doesn't have to always have the answers, that being with you doesn't mean performing, it means being loved, even in imperfection. Men mentally melt when they find peace, and peace doesn't always come with loud love or grand gestures. Sometimes peace looks like soft words, gentle understanding, and patient presence. The woman who gives that becomes his emotional home. She becomes his peace in a world that's constantly demanding him to be something else. And once a man feels that kind of peace, he'll fight to keep it. Because it's not just comfort, it's rare. And it's life-changing. Loyalty is something every man craves deep down, especially when life isn't going the way he planned. It's easy to love somebody when they're winning, when they're looking good, when their life is shining, but the true test of loyalty, the kind that touches a man's soul and melts him mentally, is how you treat him when he's not at his best. When a woman stands by her man in moments when he feels like he's lost, failed, or is struggling to find his way, that doesn't just impress him. It changes how he sees her forever. Men don't always say it out loud, but they pay close attention to who's there when they're down. If he's going through a hard time, maybe he lost a job, maybe he's dealing with family issues, maybe his confidence is shaken, and the woman in his life is still showing up for him, still talking to him like he's worth something, still encouraging him like his dreams are still alive. That sticks with him. A man remembers the woman who stood beside him when he didn't feel like a man, because in that moment, she didn't just love the version of him that the world approved of. She loved the raw, unpolished, struggling version of him that even he was trying to hide. See, a man will mentally melt when he realizes you're not just in love with the good parts of him. You're not just there for the victories and celebrations. You're there in the silence, in the fear, in the moments where everything looks uncertain. That kind of loyalty builds a connection that's rooted deeper than attraction or romance. It's built on something spiritual. It's a sense of knowing she's with me not just when I shine, but when I'm in the shadows. And it doesn't mean you have to carry his problems. It doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior or ignore your own needs. It means you recognize that everybody hits low points and you choose not to run just because things got tough. When you can look a man in the eye during one of his weakest moments and say, I still see you. I still believe in you. That statement alone can shift his whole mindset. You become the reason he wants to rise again. Not because you saved him, but because you reminded him he was still worth fighting for. Loyalty isn't loud. It's quiet and steady. It's found in small moments. The text that says, I'm here, when he goes silent. The patience when he pulls away to figure things out. The consistent presence when life isn't exciting. Most men don't ask for loyalty directly, but they feel it. They know when someone is still rocking with them when there's nothing flashy to offer. And that woman, the one who stays real and grounded through the storms, becomes unforgettable. There's a certain kind of comfort that comes from knowing you're not alone when things fall apart. And when a woman chooses to walk with her man during those uncertain times, she becomes part of his healing. He starts to associate her with strength, with peace, with stability. And you better believe that when things do turn around for him, he will never forget who was by his side when he had nothing. Because the world loves to show up when the table is full, but a real one is there when the table is empty, and she's still talking about what it will be, not just what it is. A man doesn't just fall in love with a pretty face, he falls in love with how you made him feel in his lowest season. If you made him feel respected when he was unsure of himself. If you made him feel like a man when his pride was bruised. If you made him feel like he still mattered when he felt invisible. Those things don't leave his mind. That kind of emotional impact burns deep into his memory. He'll start seeing you as more than just a partner. You'll become his rock, his anchor. Even in conflict, loyalty shows itself. If you can challenge him without tearing him down, if you can disagree without walking away, if you can express your truth while still honoring his, that tells him, you're not perfect and I'm not perfect, but I'm not leaving when it gets hard. And trust me, that melts a man's heart more than anything else. Because it's rare, most people check out at the first sign of trouble. But you stayed. And not only did you stayed with love, with grace, with understanding. When a man finds loyalty in a woman, especially when he's at a place where he feels like he doesn't even deserve it, it transforms how he loves her. Because now it's not just about chemistry. Now it's about gratitude. Now it's about building something with someone who didn't flinch when life got real. And once that connection is built, it becomes something solid, something that other people can't shake or break. Because it wasn't built in comfort, it was built in struggle. And it was built with love that didn't run. Men are drawn to women who know how to carry themselves with quiet confidence, a sense of mystery and a natural femininity that doesn't beg for attention, but commands it. There's something about a woman who walks into a room and doesn't need to be the loudest or the most visible, but you feel her presence anyway. She doesn't chase anyone, but people notice her. She doesn't try to prove herself, but her energy speaks volume. That kind of woman doesn't just attract a man physically. She melts him mentally. She stays on his mind long after the conversation ends, and he keeps thinking about her without even knowing why. When a woman has confidence that isn't arrogant but grounded in self-respect, That stands out. It means she knows who she is, she knows what she brings to the table, and she's not waiting for someone else to validate her worth. That self-assurance tells a man that she isn't going to tolerate being mistreated, but she also doesn't need to constantly remind you of her standards. You just feel them. And for a man, that quiet strength is powerful. It doesn't push him away. It pulls him in, because now he sees her as someone valuable, someone rare, someone who chooses him but doesn't need him. The mystery in a woman is what keeps a man coming back mentally. It's not about playing games or hiding who you are. It's about not giving everything away at once. It's about knowing that your life, your thoughts, your spirit, they're worth discovering over time. When a woman holds a bit of herself back, not out of fear, but out of wisdom, a man becomes intrigued. He starts to wonder what she's thinking, what she's feeling, what her world looks like when no one's watching. That curiosity builds desire, because he doesn't feel like he's conquered her mind right away. And men love what they have to work for. They value what they earn. And when he knows that every layer of her is something he has to win with patience and consistency, he becomes invested. Femininity isn't weakness. It's strength in softness. It's power wrapped in grace. A woman who embraces her femininity, not just in how she looks, but in how she speaks, how she moves, how she connects, triggers something primal in a man. She doesn't yell to be heard. She speaks with intention. She doesn't try to dominate, she invites. And that invitation isn't something he feels entitled to, it's something he feels honored by, because she's selective, because she carries herself like someone who values her time, her energy, and her emotions. That kind of energy melts a man's ego. It takes him out of performance mode and puts him into pursuit mode, real pursuit, not just for her body, but for her soul. Men get mentally attached to the woman who gives peace without losing her own, the one who doesn't overreact, who knows how to hold a conversation without turning it into a war, who can disagree without disrespect. That woman is rare. She becomes the exception in a world full of chaos. When she can smile without trying too hard, when she can stand up for herself without tearing him down, she becomes unforgettable, because in her presence, he doesn't feel like he has to defend himself. He feels like he can breathe. And the confidence that comes from her boundaries, that's what makes her powerful. When she doesn't settle, when she's okay with walking away from what doesn't serve her, when she doesn't beg or chase, that's when a man realizes she's different. She's not trying to compete. She's not trying to prove she's better than anyone else. She's just being herself, and that's more than enough. And the crazy thing is, that makes him chase harder, because she's not desperate. She's desirable. She's not trying to be chosen. She's choosing. And when a man feels like he's being chosen by a woman like that, his whole